Going back to our top story now, State Security Minister David Mahlobo has assured South Africans that the country is not facing any terror threat. Now, this follows a terror alert issued by the U.S. Embassy. And for more on this story, we are joined by Brian Dube, Head of Communications for the State Security Agency. Brian, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on News Today.
Good day to you, Alicia, and the viewers, and thank you for having me.
Brian, the minister says there is no need for panic, but then where did these rumors of a possible threat emanate from, if we can call them that?
Well, Alicia, there is ongoing work that we do to liaise with fellow intelligence committee members who are in the country. This information was liaised in that process with the Americans. We have noted it, as has been mentioned, and we are engaging them on their concerns because it is the responsibility of the security services in the country to ensure safety of the residents and citizens alike.
Brian, but what information do we then have about the U.S. saying there is a threat? I mean, a lot of questions have been about why the U.S. and not too long ago the British governments and not necessarily our very own security agencies are giving out these warnings.
Well, Alicia, in the course of the work which we do, information comes in all the time. It would appear that, as we know, the Americans have got the standard, the precautionary alert that they issue from time to time, and as we've noted now, the British have issued a travel advisory. This is, of course, in terms of their own protocols, but in terms of our own protocols in the country, it is important that whatever information we receive must be analyzed, must be verified, it must go through our own processes before we are able to indicate in terms of what the nature is going to be. And in this instance, as we are indicating, it's information we received, which we are looking to, so that we can be able to determine exactly what is it that we are dealing with. But as things stand now, we have not yet made the determination that they have arrived at. Hence, then the minister saying that there should be no reason for any panic, whilst, of course, we are not downplaying what they are saying. It's a matter of concern that we must look into at all times.
Look, Brian, a lot of people want to know, why would South Africa be a target for ISIS? What can you tell us on that?
Well, the information at our disposal indicates that essentially in terms of our own foreign policy positions as a country, we believe that South Africa is always a country that advocates for peaceful resolutions to conflicts that confront the world. To this end, we believe South Africa cannot be in a direct line of target, therefore, by these extremist groups that we've seen. However, we still maintain that the issue of terrorism is a global phenomenon which no country can claim to be immune, and that is why we say as government, ours is to remain vigilant, ours is to continue to do our work, working with communities, working with those who supply us information and our networks, so that we can be able to ensure safety of all citizens in the country and residents.
Look, before I let you go, Brian, have there been extra precautionary measures that have been put in place in terms of safety at all key entry points around the country then?
Well, the National Joint Operations Center, which is a structure that's led by the police that looks at the national picture in terms of our country, they are continuing to do the work that they do. These areas that have been mentioned are areas that ordinarily would form part of the work of the security services. It falls in the radar of their work. And so at this stage, the national threat level has not changed, but work will continue in this regard.
Look, Brian, I know I said I was letting you go, but just one more question for us. I mean, a lot of people want to know, what do South Africans do, and even our foreign visitors, what should they do? Should they carry on as normal or be wary, specifically at places like the malls as specified?
Well, we've always maintained that in South Africa, as elsewhere in the world, when people are interacting, they must go about doing their normal business as they would do, but of course remain vigilant, as we've always said, because we believe it is important that all of us are careful as we walk around and do our own things. But as we want to emphasize, our national threat level remains the same. It is business as usual, and we are going to do whatever we can as the security of the country to ensure the safety of residents and citizens.
Thank you so much for that. That is Brian Dube. He is the Head of Communications for the State Security Agency. He was talking to us about the terror threat by ISIS here in South Africa. The State Security Agency says we need not fear.